Good morning, and welcome to Claiborne Farm. And I hope if you're watching this that we find you well and everybody's healthy. And we wish that we were doing this in person instead of online here, but we're going to do our very best since people can't get out and come visit, that we can bring the farm to you. And we are starting here in our wonderful visitor center here, and just like we would start a normal tour, and we would like to have it full of visitors today, but we unfortunately we can't do that. But allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kevin. I am one of 6 stallion grooms here, alongside of Joe Peel, Rodeo, John Ehouse, Billy Buckler, and Kyle Johnson. We thoroughly love doing the tours, so we're kind of missing getting to meet the people, but we'll do our very best today on this virtual tour to take you around and show off the guys, and hopefully bring a smile to your face here. We're trying to dodge some rain showers here as we speak, so but we'll go out and kind of take a browse around if you like. So we'll want to join in with it. So basically, the farm itself was established in 1910 by Arthur Boyd Hancock and his wife Nancy. They brought a few head of their livestock here at that time, starting Claiborne Farm with the original 1,300 acres. Since then, the farm's expanded. Right now we're at 3,000 acres, got roughly right at 500 head of horses here on the property. We are in the thick of things here through our breeding season and foaling season. We were due roughly 160 foals this year. We got right at 100 on the ground as we speak. We've got 12 active stallions here at the moment. Got 2 new additions with Catholic Boy and DeMarche. It's a really exciting time here at the farm. The guys are doing well. Big racing season. Flame's gotten a doll on the racetrack. You know, kind of had her fingers crossed for the Derby, but it's still exciting. We just wish that we could have got everyone out and they could have joined in the excitement with us here. But we're making our way to the breeding shed, which is kind of sacred ground on the in the thoroughbred industry. The breeding shed itself was built back in the early 1920s, and everything about the structure itself is still pretty original. We're going to walk you through our teasing area and up to the actual shed itself. So if you'll bear with us just a moment.
And if you have any questions, feel free to type them out, and we'll have Kevin answer all of the questions that he can while we're here.
Don't put me on the spot. So along the way through the breeding season, coming to our shed here, this will be your first stop. The mares will arrive in a box van or a trailer, and the young man that does all of our teasing here, John Ehouse, he'll come back, he'll set up an order. It's a first come, first served basis. So he'll go out as you come in, he'll get your number down, and he'll call you up one by one. As he brings you up, you'll bring your mare into our teasing stall. Our our wonderful teaser Julio will be here to greet the lady as she comes in, and hopefully he says all the right words and she answers back the right words. And if everything goes well in the teasing area, he'll then have the groom hook up the mare. He'll have the groom take her into the washing stocks here, where he'll use an iodine scrub. He'll clean up the mare, get her tail wrapped up, and from this point, she'll exit the teasing area, and they'll start forming a little assembly line at the yellow gate here. And at such as this morning at 8 o'clock, we'll begin. We had 8 mares this morning. Bred those 8 mares in actually 48 minutes here. So we've got 12 really excellent breeding stallions here at the moment. So we'll take you up and show you the shed. And,
we do have one question. One of our questions is, have any of the new stallions had any mares check and foal?
we have, yes, ma'am, or sir. But yes, both guys actually have had mares check in foal at this point. So we're really excited. Both of the guys have really taken to the shed for us and been really professional. So we're excited to have them on our stallion roster here.
And another question, what kind of horse is Julio?
We don't really know. He has some kind of gait to him. He's a smooth walker. He's one of the guys, all 6 of us stallion guys would like to climb on and try to ride. He's pretty smooth in his gait, so we don't really know a pedigree on him.
Maybe we'll see him on our way back.
Yes, yeah, we'll go out and make a round and check with him there. So at this time of the year, we spend a lot of time in this little box. And as I was saying, walking up, the breeding shed here is kind of sacred ground in the thoroughbred industry, built back in the early 1920s. Everything about the structure is original, other than the surface and the padding. But since its induction, there have been 22 Kentucky Derby winners, 20 Preakness, 22 Belmont winners, 6 of the 13 Triple Crown winners were conceived right here. It's where Gallant Fox, Omaha, Whirlaway, Count Fleet, Secretariat, and Seattle Saloon, where those 6 guys were conceived. Of course, our most recent Kentucky Derby winner was Big Brown, the winner back in '08. And our most recent Preakness Stakes winner was War of Wheel last year. And we kind of had our fingers crossed. We thought we had maybe one of the early favorites for the Kentucky Derby in Omaha Beach. Unfortunately, he had to scratch the Wednesday before the race, but came on to have a strong second half of the year. But we're kind of looking forward to possibly having another strong season here. But the shed itself opened for business on February the 10th, where we can actually breed 10 of the 12 guys 3 times a day, Monday through Saturday, twice on Sunday until July the 3rd. The stallions here at Claiborne Farm have a limited book. They can cover between 130 to 140 mares a season here. With our 2 older guys, Warfront and Flatter, we've actually scaled numbers back on those guys. And no, they can cover somewhere between 80 and 85 mares a season. So, and for those of you that haven't been around the thoroughbred industry, it all has to be a live cover. So there'll be 1 mare, 1 stallion, 4 guys in here. It is a controlled process. We will not let our stallion go in, mistreat someone else's property, or vice versa. We use all the precautions we can to protect our stallion or the 4 guys that are in there. So, normally it goes pretty smooth. It goes without hiccups, and that's like the session this morning, breeding the 8 mares in 48 minutes. Everybody did really well. So,
And the surface in there?
The surface in there is polytrack. It's an artificial surface. This was actually manufactured by the Keeneland Race Course. It's primarily carpet fibers. It has some rubber, some sand. It has a beeswax to it that actually gives it a sticky texture. It's great footing for the stallions and the mares in here during the mating process. after each session, we've got a rototiller outside, and we'll fluff up about the 8 inches, the top 8 inches, I'm sorry. And that's a precaution. If we do have a horse that gets down, hopefully that protects the head and the spinal areas. For the most part, if the human part aspect of the game has done their part, then the horses will be just great. They'll be just fine.
All right.
We'll, if you like, we're going to continue on. We're going to head up to the Tensile barn. This place up here is pretty remarkable. Been a lot of great horses in here.
Here's a question from one of our viewers. Do the mares or stallions ever have shoes on?
They do. Our stallions, we try to keep barefoot if we can. You know, it shows the soundness in their feet for a potential breeder coming to look at the horse. But if a horse is shod, you'll later on, we're going to get out Warfront for you. You'll see he's shod up front. You know, 70% of the horse's weight's on the front end. So, the mares, when they come in, if they are shod in the back, we will put kick boots on them to try to protect our stallion. You know, if she were to kick, hopefully, you know, she doesn't cut him open. So, yeah, they do come in with shoes on occasion. So this barn that we are walking up to now, this is our Tensile Stallion barn. And this barn here was built back in the early 1950s. And as you walk in the barn, the first stall on your left is what is known as the #1 stall here at Claiborne Farm. It is where Bold Ruler, Secretariat, Easy Goer, and Unbridled, where those 4 guys did their stallion careers while they were here. The top plate on each door will tell you who currently resides in the stall. But what they had in here, they had the 1957 Preakness Stakes winner and horse of the year, Bold Ruler. The 1972-73 horse of the year, Triple Crown winner in 73 and Secretariat. 1988 champion 2-year-old horse, 1989 Belmont Stakes winner in Easy Goer, and the 1990 Kentucky Derby and Breeders' Cup Classic winner in Unbridled. As you can tell, Run Happy, he now occupies the stall. He is the 2015 Eclipse Award-winning male sprinter and Breeders' Cup Sprint champion of 2015. And we're going to go out and visit with him and here in a moment. He is just he's a big baby. We love him to death here. Really exciting time for him as his 2-year-old start hitting the track here. As you are looking across the aisleway here, you'll see Round Table's plaque. Round Table was the world's largest money winner back in the late 50s, early 60s. Had 66 starts on the racetrack with 44 victories, setting 14 track records, 1 world record while racing on the racetrack. In fact, he was just the 3rd thoroughbred that eclipsed the $1 million mark while racing on the racetrack. The kind of a magical night here at the farm, here on Claiborne Farm, Secretariat, Sire Bold Ruler, and Round Table, they were both foaled here on the farm the same night, April 6, 1954. A pretty magical night. The 1957 Horse of the Year, 1958 Horse of the Year. Of course, as you climb on up the line there, you'll see Pulpit, who's the sire of a horse by the name of Lucky Pulpit, who went on to sire the wonderful California Chrome. And then, of course, the 2013 Kentucky Derby winner, Orb, now occupies the stall. So, right now, all the guys are still on the winter schedule, so they are all outside at the moment, getting turnout time. We will bring them all up at 1 o'clock this afternoon, get them all cleaned up, and they will spend the duration of the day and night inside out of the elements. Hopefully when the weather starts to break and we start getting a lot nicer weather, then we'll do just the opposite. We will bring the guys in early in the morning where they'll spend the day inside, and we turn them out at night so it's cooler on them.
Right.
Try to keep the sunburn off. And and things of that nature.
Another question from one of our viewers: do you have a favorite stallion out here?
I sure do. Blame is hard to beat. You know, I spent almost 10 years with Blame. Well, it'll be 10 years this November. He's just a big kid. You get attached to the homebred horses, and being a homebred horse for the Hancock family and the Dale Snyder, yeah, he would be my favorite here. But as you kind of travel through the shed row here, you'll see it's just kind of almost a who's who of thoroughbred racing. The nameplates and the history here are second to none. I mean, it's a really cool place to work. I mean, we get to honor the past, and we're in the present, and always excited about the future. So it's an amazing place. As we exit the barn, we make our way out. You will see that each guy has their own individual paddock. The paddocks range anywhere from a quarter acre to a half acre in size. They're separated by at least 10 feet all the way around, so they can't come into contact with one another. Just like your wild stallions, if they ever did, you know, they would fight. They'd either have to drive the other one off, or in some cases may stand and fight to the death. So they're very territorial animals, just like your stallion out in the wild would be. So this is, as you go out, you'll see their nameplates. They'll return to the same paddock each and every day, and that's his territory. As you're checking out algorithms there,
Matthew would like to know, do we ever put Western saddles on our stallions and take them for a ride when the breeding season's over?
We do not. The stallions here at Claiborne Farm, they're never, mares or stallions, either one, they're never ridden again. They are here just for breeding purposes at the moment, and they kind of just become our pets. They're as you can tell, they're really spoiled. They know we're going to come around with candy and give them a mint and an apple or a carrot. And on the tours, on the actual tours, when we have people, we actually get to come out, and we will allow people. We'll hand them a mint and allow them to give a mint. For us, we're really fortunate. We got 12 really nice stallions to kind of be around and let people kind of associate with. So. As we make our way up the Run Happy, this paddock to our right, nice and green. This was Secretariat's paddock when he was here for some of the people that still love, you know, a lot of our tourists that come in, they're still huge Secretariat fans. But this is where he lived for 16 years while he stood here at Claiborne Farm. And just kind of majestic ground. I mean, it also had easy gore and unbridled pulpit in it. Right now it's actually vacant. We're letting the grass really get to grow on it, and from my understanding, Catholic Boy will be moved up to here later on, so this will be his new home.
Another one of our questions from Mucky Marty: do we ever trim the stallion's whiskers?
We do, yeah. We bridle pads, whiskers. We have clients that are coming in, so these guys have to be dolled up and be ready to go. Just never know who our next visitor may be, and to look at them. So yeah, they'll get their whiskers trimmed up. Depending on how busy we are at the time, I think you'll notice here with Mastery, his is His is pretty well trimmed down there. It looks like a lot of the guys have had a good time. They're getting in the mud here and taking their morning roll, and he's going to beg for another one. If you'll give me just a moment, I'm going to go out and grab Run Happy for you. We'll bring him out and let him visit with you. Come on, kid. Come on, kid. Come on. Come on. No, he's gonna make it.
Famous Run Happy.
Run Happy. And if you follow the farm's Instagram and Facebook account, you may have got to see him just a few weeks ago. He got to celebrate his birthday. He just turned 8 years old and got to celebrate it with some delicious apples. The McInvilles, his owners, got to send in for him. But this guy, he's one of the fan favorites here. A lot of people followed his racing career on Facebook. You know, they kept cameras on him. He's got a great disposition about him. He's just a big kid. His groom, Kyle Johnson, he loves this guy. This is his pride and joy. But you know, he's a son of Super Saver. He's out of a broken bow mare called Bella Jolie. He was purchased by a gentleman from Texas, by James McInville. Went on to race for Mr. McInville, where he had 10 starts with 7 victories. He was actually undefeated in sprint competition. In 2015, he was a 3-time Grade 1 stakes winner. He won the King's Bishop, the Malibu Stakes, and the 2015 Breeders' Cup Sprint Championship. But he retired from racing in 2016, was syndicated. He has been really well received since his retirement from racing here. But as we were talking, there's a lot of excitement in the air. First crop of babies are 2-year-olds this year.
And the first ones sell today.
There we go.
Down in Ocala.
The excitement, the buzz is around from everything we've garnered. Everybody loves the looks of them and their attitudes, just like him. You know, just great, smart horses, willing to do what you ask of them. So, but he's just a wonderful, wonderful horse. And if you guys were here in person, what we actually like to do, we allow our visitors to come up by the shoulder and they get to pet on him, take a photo with him, and hopefully we get everything lined out, get straightened back up, and we get to start bringing these tours back out in person, and we can start doing this again. So,
question from one of our viewers: do you know how much Run Happy sold for?
Just over $425,000, I believe, as a year one. So, but for the McInvilles, if you were able to talk to them and ask him, I believe they would tell you he's priceless now.
Yeah, worth the money.
He is one of the family. So.
And another question: what is his stud fee?
$25,000. That is a LIFO guarantee. So I meant to bring a brochure so I could actually show you the whole roster, and I forgot to do so. I kind of got excited on doing this tour here. But his stallion fee is $25,000 live foal guarantee.
One more question while we're here from Amy Ing. Does the chain on the lead across the nose give the handler better control of Run Happy?
No. Normally what we do, if we are actually going to handle these guys and with the other horses out, we would actually have it in their mouth for added control. And
Sorry.
It acts like a sort of as a bit. But this guy, he's a really good guy, and we were going to kind of give him some mints, so I didn't want him to have to
Be restricted.
chewing on the chain along with his mint. But he's a good guy. All 12 of the guys here, they are no problem to get out and mess with. So. And you know, this guy, he's standing in a paddock where Spectacular Bid once ran around in. So there's been some great guys. I mean, no matter what horse you have in here at the time, when you start looking at the past, I mean, there's been some great guys.
All right, should we go see some of the other guys out here?
We will go back. I know one of our big guys that a lot of people like to see here is Warfront, so we're going to go visit with him here in just a moment. And then we've also got the cemetery that a lot of people love to come and visit with.
So Kevin, how long have you been out here at the farm?
I'm third generation here. I actually grew up out here. My grandfather handled stallions here for almost 18 years. My father worked here for almost 27. Dad was a big guy. He carried the nickname Bear while he was out here. But a really funny story is he was scared to death of horses, even though he was
working at a horse farm.
Working on a thoroughbred farm, which is kind of ironic. But he did a lot of the maintenance, the fencing and things of that nature. So, but coming out of high school at the age of 17, I started here. I was fortunate enough they gave me the opportunity to start with working with horses. The first horse I ever laid hands on was a mare called Relaxing, who was Easy Goer's mother, and I was bit.
Good way to start.
Yeah, I was bit by the bug, and from that point, I worked my way up. I delivered babies here on the day crew in the foaling barn for almost 5 years. I got the opportunity to come down here and work with stallions in 2002, December of 2002. Did that for almost 3 years. For some reason, got a bug inside of me. Thought I wanted to try to do something different from horses, and I actually left for almost 3 years, and I came back. I actually crawled back and asked if they had an opening, and I was fortunate enough. They let me come back in, and it was 2007, December 2007. I came back and been
here ever since.
Yeah, I don't want to. My wife actually got on me when with the other job I went to. She said, "You got to go back to Claiborne." She said, "You're miserable. You're making us miserable." So I took her advice. She's a lot smarter than I am, but so I took her advice, came back. I'm raising 3 kids. I actually live on property here. I've been living on the property, back on the property since 2015. Got 3 kids. I got the oldest son is actually he works with mares and foals on the weekend while they're not in school. Then I've got another one that's eyeballing it as we speak. He just turned 13. He was asking just the other day how old he had to be to start out here. So it's a really remarkable place. You know, there are several second, third generation employees here. That just says wonders about the Hancock family.
Atmosphere,
'Cause
yeah.
You don't keep people around for 2-3 generations if you're not a great employee.
And in total, we'd have over 100 employees on the farm. We try and do as much of the work as we can in-house. So all of our electrical work, all of our
Plumbers.
mowing,
Plumbers, yeah, everything.
that's all
Painters.
done in-house.
Yeah. No, when you look, I don't know if you were able to see it, but in the 3,000 acres, all of it gets mowed in some sort of fashion. And there are roughly almost 99 miles of fence here at Claiborne Farm, and all of it gets weed eated. So they will hire somewhere between 15 to 20 of the high school boys, and they get to come out and pack a steel weed eater 8 hours a day, start in the front and get to the back. And it's time to start all over, and not to mention
There's Kyle. Kyle! That's Run Happy's groom down there. We just went to visit Run Happy.
he's clean at
He's
the moment.
clean. Got plenty of requests to see Catholic boy, so hopefully we can swing by and
we'll go.
say hello
We-
to him.
We came out beside him. We'll check him out. But this is another one of our stallion barns here, and this is our 6-stall stallion barn. This barn here was built back in the early 1930s. As you travel the shed row, you'll see several plates like Glenheim II that have a little star or asterisk mark, Nazarula, and that represents a foreign-bred horse that the Hancock family went and purchased and brought in here for stallion duties. And of course, Nazarula sire is a great bold ruler, so that's Secretariat's grandsire on his sire's side. You've got Boundary sire, Big Brown sire Boundary in the stall. So I had that stall, and Lee now occupies it. Next door down, you'll see the great Prince Quillo, who was the sire of Round Table, whose plaque we saw down in the Tensile barn, also being the sire of the Mare Something Royal, who was Secretariat's mother. So both the Secretariat's grandsires stood right up here in the 6-stall barn, and the sire on fire Warfront now occupies the stall. So he's our pride and joy here.
One of our viewers asked, do any of our horses wear blankets?
Sale horses. We do sale horses now. As far as on an everyday basis, we do not. We try to keep everything as natural as possible. We'll allow them to grow their winter coats, and then as the weather warms up, we'll go through the shedding process. Sometimes we wear as much of the hair as they do while we're shedding them out. But I have a little gray horse there through breeding season. Every once in a while, I'll put a night sheet on him just to help with stains and keep him.
Here he comes.
Now we got a race horse. But it's just with this many horses, it's hard to blanket everything. But this is our young man, Warfront. He is the 19-year-old son of Danzig, out of a Rubiano mare named Starry Dreamer. This guy was actually born and raised here on Claiborne Farm for his owner, Mr. Allen, Joseph Allen. He went on to race for Mr. Allen, had 13 starts on the racetrack, 4 wins, 5 seconds, and a third-place finish, winning just over $425,000 in money earnings. A Grade 2 stakes winner, a Grade 1 stakes placed horse. He won the Grade 2 Vanderbilt Stakes, the second in the Grade 1 Forego, second in the Grade 1 Bossburg. But he retired from racing in 2006, was syndicated 40 shares. He began his stallion career here in 2007 with an advertised fee of $12,500. He has since started over 70 stakes winners. I think he has 22 Grade 1 or Group 1 stakes winners. He's gone from a stallion fee of $12,500 to a stallion fee of $250,000, and all due because of what his offspring are accomplishing now on the racetrack. But as we were talking down at the breeding shed, Last year he had the early favorite for the Kentucky Derby in Omaha Beach. And then his son War of Will came along, won the Preakness Stakes. Just saw where he had another nice work here, a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Last week.
And so it just really exciting. This guy is, these type of horses here, they don't come along every day. You know, and it's just I guess you would say he's just following a long line of tradition, family tradition. What was that old song, Bo Cephas used to sing? I mean, when you track his lineage to Danzig and to Northern Dancer, he's just doing what his father and grandfather did. So, but he's a very special horse. On the tours, same way we were showing you with Run Happy, we get up and pet him. This guy has such a great disposition. We actually allow smaller groups, if we have them, they can come up one or two at a time. If they want to hug him around the neck, he's a pretty special guy.
He'd be the highest priced stallion that we have standing here at Claiborne, but also the highest priced stallion currently standing in North America.
Yes.
With that $250,000 stud fee.
I mean, like we always run the joke amongst us. You know, we call him the sire on fire, not only because of what his offspring do on the racetrack, but what they light up the sales board in the sales arenas when the yearlings and 2-year-olds hit the sales. So he's just been a very special horse here.
One of our viewers was asking, how tall is Warfront?
He's 16 hands. You know, he's not your big massive horse that he's very thick. He's very masculine, but he's not a tall guy. He's right at 16 hands, which is pretty average for us here. So most of our guys are 16 to 16-1.
All right.
But you guys we're going to make our way down to the cemetery, one of 3 equine cemeteries that we actually have here on the property. And this is the original one down here. It's where the great Secretariat's born. After 40 years, he's still the main attraction here to Paris here in Bourbon County. And then we might get to catch a glimpse of some of the ladies out here as well. I think I saw some ladies down around the creek. So. Not only do we have this tour, the Stallion tour, but there's a wonderful shuttle tour that the farm started doing last year. And I actually got to partake in one of those last year with Mary, and she. Not because she worked for us, but she did an excellent job on that. I was really, truly impressed by that tour, and get to ride back and see the mares and foals and the quarter pose back at the old racetrack, the old starting gate. So it's a pretty impressive tour to take in. Once everything kind of gets squared away here and we get to going back, if you haven't got to do that tour is pretty magnificent as well. So.
Again, once we get the tours going, again, all of those are bookable via horsecountry.com/Claiborne.
Yes. As we make our way to the cemetery, if you kind of browse out in the distance, you'll see a few of the ladies here on the hill. These ladies are actually in the foaling complex. They are within at least 30 days of their foaling date. Every day, every morning and every afternoon as they come in and go out, they are checked to see if they are getting any closer to their actual foaling. At that point, if they are, they will actually be moved into the actual foaling barn across the road, where they'll be moved into smaller paddocks, just like you saw our Stallions in. And every 10 minutes, the men and women up there will make rounds, and they'll check to see if anyone's going into labor, get her moved into a foaling pen and assist her that way. So as we were talking,
Lots of moving parts.
Those men and women up there, they've been really busy. We've got, like I say, right at 100 poles on the ground. So. But this is one of 3 cemeteries that we have here on the property. This is the original one. We've got 22 horses buried in here. 5 of the 22 are buried here whole body, with everyone else having the traditional burial where they bury just the head, the heart, and the hooves, and they would cremate the rest of the horse. That was known as the mind, body, and soul. But since 1984 and since Swell's death, Mr. Hancock started burying everything whole body. Swell was the son of the 1977 Triple Crown winner Seattle Slew. In 1984, he became the farm's first and only homebred Kentucky Derby winner. But he and Round Table, Secretariat, Mr. Prospector, and Nijinsky, those 5 guys are here whole body. So, pretty special. A lot of wonderful guys buried in this one. And then we actually have the big one over on Marshmont. When you step through the gates back there, it doesn't taper off any. You got Danzig, Easy Goer, Sir Ivor, Damascus, Arch, Private Account, Private Terms. They're all buried back there. And then all the stallions are buried on the left-hand side, and then all the ladies are buried on the right-hand side. There's some wonderful ladies buried back there. You got Twerda and Moccasin and Fancy Breeze and Relaxing, Wild Applause. There's some great ladies buried back there. So anyway, and everything. It's kind of like the employees here. Everyone has their spot, their job to do, and along with the same way in the equine part of it. We were talking about Julio, our teaser. There's a couple of teasers buried back there. I mean, they're as vital a process, vital part of this process here as the mares and the stallions. They've got a job to do. So Julio keeps our guys safe down here. It's been a great blessing.
Somebody asked where Riva Ridge was buried. He's right over here. And do you want to explain some of the coins on him and Secretariat's graves?
We were actually told that is actually a Jewish custom, that they would actually place a stone to signify they were there. But after Miss Chinnery's death, it'd be 5 years this October, I believe, people actually started leaving 1973 pennies on Secretariat, but we actually, after the stones will get full, we will put it in a can and we turn it in to Miss Hancock, Dale Hancock, and she donates it to the Grayson Jockey Club. So
okay,
it's pretty remarkable. I mean, just the way that we have found that horses touch people's lives and can bring smiles to their faces, and as they do ours. It's not so much a job as it is. It's a way of life. It's just we're just fortunate enough to be in theirs.
We'll try and maybe get a quick peek of Catholic Boy and maybe Don Julio before we wrap it up.
If your battery's still holding up,
for now.
He may actually be down in the corner with Julio down here. Might be able to walk down and kiss the 2 of them together.
Yep.
Yep, we'll make our way around.
Kevin, do you have an all-time favorite horse?
Danzig.
Okay.
Danzig, it was a pretty cool story. My grandfather actually got to work with Danzig early in his career, and early in my stallion career, I got to work with him also. So to kind of get to work and walk in the same grounds as some of the older grooms here, not only in horse flesh, but the horsemen that the Hancock family have had here. If I could be half as good as those guys, you know, I would be pretty pleased. And I think the Hancock family would be pretty pleased with me as well. They've had some awesome horsemen here, you know. When I think back on Bobby Anderson, the Stallion manager, Lawrence Robinson, you know, didn't meet him personally, but the stories I've heard and pictures I've seen of him, you know, he was the true horseman. It's just
Pretty special.
It's pretty special, and to think I get to walk the same lanes as those guys is just really remarkable.
One of our viewers asked, "What is Catholic Boy's temperament like?"
Very, he's great. Very professional. He's laid back. As you'll see as we get up to the gate, he has turned out to be Billy Buckler's pet.
Billy Buckler is his groom.
Billy Buckler is his groom, and Billy's always bragging about how smart he is. And, which, you know, we all have one, if not all of them that we take care of. But there's always one that kind of becomes your favorite, and this guy is kind of turned out to Billy is really thinks really highly on this guy.
Hopefully he plays ball with us. There we go.
As you can tell, he likes farm life. He likes to
Settled in very
get
well.
in the mud. He has. He's really the.
I'm a little short for this. Bud? Does he have a barn name? One of our viewers is asking, or a nickname.
We're still calling him Catholic Boy at the moment. You know, he's.
Do any of the other stallions have nicknames?
Oh,
you heard that. Demarchelier?
Demarchelier. We do all we can to pronounce that sometimes, but like Ironicus, we just call him Ronnie. And, yeah, they've all kind of got different names.
Last but not least,
Yeah, last but not
the
least.
star of the show.
Hurley, come on. Come on.
The infamous Don Julio.
This is him. This is the man. If you ask him, he's the man. But he's been a good boy. You know, when we think about the Stallions and their what their value could be, this guy, he could be the most valuable horse on the farm. I mean, he takes care of the rest of the guys. So he thinks Lee's going to steal one of his peppermint. He's the bodyguard for the other 12 guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed getting to walk through the property with us as much as we like showing it off. As we said earlier, we've really missed not having people out and visiting with us, and hopefully here shortly we get everything lined out and we can get back to giving out the tours and getting to meet everyone, whether you've been here 5 times, 6 times, or it may be your first tour out at Claiborne Farm. We're hoping we can get everything lined out and everyone can kind of get back and come back and visit with us here. So,
All right.
I hope you guys are safe and well, and hope you have a wonderful day. So.
Thanks for joining in with us.